What up, y'all? It's Goofy Rexy here. Hope everybody's doing well today. So in today's video, it's gonna be a fun video. We're gonna be talking about the top 5 characters that are still good with low stars. So even if these characters do not have your 3 or 4 or your 5 or 6, 7, gold stars with high red stars, there's still good characters that you can invest into because they're still going to add value to your roster. That's right. So we're going to do top 5 today. We're going to go 5 all the way down to 1. And then we're going to talk about some honorable mentions too as well that I kind of left off the list. The characters that I'm focusing on in this video are primarily characters that you can use even outside of their teams, characters that have, necessarily synergy, but you're still going to get good utility out of them. And then we're going to do some honorable mentions later on. Some characters that are really good on their team that can still be functional even at low stars. All right, guys, let's do it. All right, so first and foremost, before we dive right on into it, I will say this list is subjective. These are my thoughts. This is what I believe, or the characters that I believe that are functional and are still good, even if you have low stars on them. So we're going to start off with my number 5 here. My number 5 on this list is Venom. Venom is one of my favorite characters in the game. He is, no, seriously, like for real. I know I say that a lot, but like for real, he's one of my favorite characters in the game. He looks cool. It's the first thing. He looks really cool. And then secondly, just the utility that he provides for that team. So really, he is the controller for that team. He does a lot of really good things in his kit. We can start off from bottom to top. Since we're doing 5 to 1, we'll start off from bottom to top in terms of his abilities. So on turn, healing for 10% of his max health, and then if he is above 95%, then he is going to give the rest of that symbiote team the defense up. He also gains extra focus, when he is with that symbiote team. And in general, by the way, from a stats perspective, he already does tend to have high focus, right? I mean, he's at 4,000 now. He's at 65 and 12. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit higher. But in general, Venom tends to have really good stats in terms of resistance, in terms of, not resistance, but in terms of focus and in terms of his armor. He has really good stats where that is concerned. And surprisingly enough, Venom is also very tanky. So he doesn't actually die as much as you think he does. He's actually the lowest powered character on my symbiote team. Typically, I lose Scream and Anti-Venom before I even lose Venom, in a lot of instances, because, Venom, like I said, he's self-sustaining, that defense up, he's sort of tanky, he doesn't really die, as easily. But more importantly, right, his kit doesn't need high red stars on him. For him to do what he needs to do, he doesn't need high red stars. That ultimate ability is still going to spread negative effects to the adjacent targets. Regardless, it's still going to spread it. Right, he's still going to apply that heal block for 2 turns because he does have pretty good focus level. So he's still going to apply those 2 heal blocks. With his special ability, he's still going to apply those blocks for those 3 bleeds to that primary target. That ability block is insanely crucial too, because there might be a character that you don't want to do a specific attack, or you don't want them to taunt. Whatever the case is, he's still going to provide that sort of utility for that team that they need. He also, as well, his basic ability, he's still going to flip those 2 positive effects to negative effects, regardless of whether or not he's 3 stars or 4 red stars or whatever. He doesn't need to have high investment in stars in order for Venom to be good. So in my opinion, he comes in for me at number 5 in terms of a top character that you can use in order for you to be, and even if, he doesn't have high red stars on him or high stars on him, he also is usable outside of his team too. His kit is very valuable, even as a character that is in the early part of the game that you can get, if you get lucky unlocking him, or if you can buy an offer for him. I think typically I've seen a $5 offer for him when you first start playing this game. It's not guaranteed. I'm just saying that I've seen it in the game. He's a very good character for you to use in the early part of the villain's campaign. And as you kind of continue to progress, you can level him up and get him to be even better. Even at low stars, he's still going to be able to do all those things in his kit that are extremely important and valuable to the symbiote team. Even outside the symbiote team is going to be able to do those things as well. All right, guys, let's talk about number 4. All right, number 4 on the list, number 4 on my list here is Yo-Yo. So Yo-Yo is, for me, once again, another kit-based character, right? She's Arguably probably one of the best protectors in this game, even outside of her team. So with Colobsidian and Colossus and other characters, even Juggernaut, characters like that, they're really good on their teams. But, she translates very well even outside of her team. So that's why she comes in at number 4 for me. Like I said, kit-based, her passive ability, being able to land those offense downs. Offense downs are obviously important because, you prevent high damage characters from doing a lot of damage to your team. It also really benefits Yo-Yo as well, because Yo-Yo is a character that does kind of lack a little bit on the health side. So she's at 54k. She's at gear tier 12. She only has 4 stars on her, but she does have 4 red stars, right? But her health is still relatively low. She doesn't do damage either. She's not really a big damage character, but her kit is just so usable. But the offense downs from her passive, every single time when a character gets a turn, so a character starting off with offense down is just so big for your entire team, big for her too as well. And not only is it cutting down the attack, in terms of the damage, but in a lot of ways, it's also cutting down the debuffs that a character can give to your team too. So it helps out in multiple different ways. And once again, she doesn't need to be at high stars in order for her to be good. A lot of people have asked the question, hey, if Yo-Yo's only at 2 stars, should I still use her? Yeah, absolutely you should, because she's still good even at 2 stars. She's still going to land that offense down. As long as you get her focus level to be above 1,000, she's still going to be good, which for the most part is probably getting her finished off in terms of T3s, right? So getting her to level 60, gear tier 10 with her ability at 6664, yes, she's still going to be usable for you. If you're even dealing with, even if you're a beginner or in the early part of the game, if you unlock her, she's still going to be a good character for you to use. She's very good in raids. She's very, very, very good in raids. She's very good, as well on a war team, on her war team with the Inhumans. She doesn't translate very well in arena. Her offense downs don't land as well, as you get to the later part of the game, but she's still a very good character in the early part, in raids. She still is able to land her offense down. She's still a very good utility character. Like I said, she also does gain evades and increased dodge chances. So that within itself too as well is really good. If you get in the early part of the game, she does have synergy also with shield, so you can also use her with a shield team. Just don't use her with shield security, because she'll then lose her effectiveness if you have her on if there's another protector there. But the point is, she's still a very good character. Offense down, she gets increased dodge chance, she gets dodge ability, she gives, ability energy to Inhuman, she gives, defense ups, to shield characters and as well as Inhuman characters. Great utility character. Doesn't need to have a lot of high red stars or stars invested into her in order for her to be able to be good. So in my opinion, she comes in for me at number 4. Number 3. Or if you're from the islands like myself, number 3. All right, so minn-erva. Minn-erva is my number 3 character, and I would say even if you have her at low stars, she's still worth the investment. Now, her prowess has been talked about multiple times. We all know how good minn-erva is. Let's dive into it one more time. So first and foremost, right, with her passive, every single time on ally death or any character on enemy death, she is going to heal the most injured ally for 15% of this character's health. Only on her ally death will she get, the speed up by 20%. She won't heal, but she'll get the speed up, by 20%. But on the enemy death, she's going to heal the most injured, non-summon ally for 50% of her max health. Now, I know that could affect the fact that she doesn't have very high stars on her, but at the same time, every single time if in raids, right? Think about it from this perspective. In raids, in Dark Dimension to a certain extent, whenever a character dies, she's adding heals to your team, which is very beneficial, especially in raids, because all the time you're killing a bunch of characters and you want to be able to get more sustain, because if you lose a character in raids, then you can't lose them for the duration of the raid, right? So you want to be able to have that added benefit of her doing those additional heals. But in addition to that too as well, what really the reason why it doesn't matter what star she has on her is this right here: stealing the 15% health from all enemies and then redistributing that health to all of the allies. And of course, I mean, she gives an additional 4,000 health. Cool, whatever. So what makes this so great is that this is such a kit-based thing. She doesn't need to have high stars to steal the 15%. She's still going to steal the 15% anyways. This is why she's such a recommended character in Dark Dimension 2. That's really where she shines the most. Dark Dimension 3, she's okay, but she tends to... No one survives in Dark Dimension 3, so it doesn't really matter. But, for her in Dark Dimension 2, she was literally the biggest damage dealer for my team, even though I had Symbiote Spider-Man, even though I had Rocket, for my first run on my main account, even though I had those characters, she was still the #1 damage dealer because of that 15% health. All those characters have these insane health pools, so being able to steal that 15%, healed all my characters. Even if they had heal block, it didn't matter because she bypasses heal block. So she's such a really good kit-based character. She's absolutely the best healer in this game. Worth investing into her. I would say even if you just unlocked her at 2 stars, she might not even have any red stars. Still invest into her anyways. She might die, quicker in certain game modes like arena, maybe even raids, whatever. But regardless, as you get further along, as you go climb higher in the raids, she might die, but eventually you might get some stars on her, and that will make her a little bit more survivable. But the biggest thing for her is that she is her kit, right? She also, she revives as well, and her basic, she applies bleeds. So listen, she's still a good character for you to use. She's a phenomenal, toon that I still use even now. I'm planning on bringing her even into Dark Dimension 4, even with the whole, especially now with the whole legendaries being excluded from certain nodes, she's still a character for me that I am 100% going to be bringing in to Dark Dimension 4. I have her in Dark Dimension 3 right now because of just what she does with that ultimate ability. So love minn-erva. I think she's the best healer in the game, one of the best characters, best tunes in this game, and even at low star, she's definitely still effective at what she does. All right, my number 2, my numero dos, that comes in on this list here is Symbiote Spider-Man. And I know you're probably thinking to me like, bro, who is better at low stars than Symbiote Spider-Man? Just wait. There's more. All right, so Symbiote Spider-Man is, once again, a really good character, really kit-based character. He kind of has the best of both worlds, though. He does do a little bit of damage, and he is still kit-based, right? So even if he is not really high in stars, he's still effective at what he does. He's still going to land those defense downs with his basic. He's still going to land that slow with his ultimate ability. He's still going to, in raids and in Dark Dimension, he's still going to heal and get that 100% drain as long as you have his passive ability T4. He's still going to give additional, heals, 3% heal, to the rest of the team, too as well, as long, or well, specifically Hero Spider-Verse, and then symbiote, allies, when a negative effect is applied to a character. So yes, he's still going to do all those things, but then he does so much more, which is the reason why even at lower stars, he's such a good character. He's also quite tanky, has high health. He doesn't die very easily. He has dodge capabilities with his kit too as well. So there are times where he will dodge and evade a really big hit. So even at low stars, he still does have such a phenomenal kit and ability. Like we've already talked about it already. The defense downs. I mean, I have a lot of his abilities T4 just because they're so good. And at some point, I did have an excessive amount of T4s that I could use. So I kind of just decided to put a lot into Symbiote Spider-Man. So, his defense down for 2 turns. If you have it T4'd, apply the being able to bypass counter is really good. I also should have mentioned that with Yo-Yo too. With her basic ability, she does also clear counter, so she doesn't also get counter too as well. Additionally, with the evades, for Yo-Yo, she also does get that on that basic attack. She also does counter, not counter, but she does clear counter too. So you're having with Symbiote Spider-Man, he's doesn't care about the counters. He's not going to get hit as long as he's doing his basic attack. Any other attack, he's going to get countered. He's going to be able to extend, those negative effects and prolong them by 1. He has a chance to apply bleed. The biggest one for me is his web slam. This was really big for me in Dark Dimension. It's really big for me in raids with his ultimate ability, being able to apply stun and then to apply slow to both to targets, for 2 turns. It's just such a really big kit. Obviously, we know about his passive ability, giving himself drain, 100% drain, and then also as well giving the rest of the symbiotes also, drain too as well. And of course, the additional health that he gives to Hero Spider-Verse characters, as well as, giving those abilities, those extra health, to the symbiote allies as well. So for me, Symbiote Spider-Man comes in at number 2. There's just one more character that tends to edge him out a little bit, but like I said, Symbiote Spider-Man is such a phenomenal character. Not just top 2 on this list, but in my opinion, top 5, character probably in this entire game, in my personal opinion. All right, guys, let's do number 1. All right, number 1 on this list for me, numero uno actually, on this list is Emma Frost. So Emma Frost is, I didn't expect her to be this good. I saw the kit initially when it came out, and I just did not expect her to be as good as she really is. What I think, her kit is obviously, like, for me, once again, just like all the other characters, you don't need her to be high stars in order for her to be effective in doing whatever it is that her kit does. I got a couple T4s on her with her special and with her ultimate. I also do have her on my baby account too as well. She's about 51k. She's at gear tier 13, also there. And I just got her to gear tier 13, and she's only, 4 and 3. So 4 gold stars and 3 red stars. And she's still so effective even right now in U7. I use it with Symbiote Spider-Man, Carnage, and minn-erva, who's only 47k on my baby account, and with a 36k Shuri, they do a lot of damage, clearing a few nodes in U7. So look at that. She doesn't need to have high stars on her in order for her to do really well. With her basic attack, she's not, first and foremost, she's not a very high damage character anyway. So having high stars on her is not going to make a difference, but with her abilities to be able to flip 2 positive effects on the enemy to then a negative effects. If she is charged, she does do a little bit. If she is charged, she does attack. She does clear the 2 positive effects instead of flipping those 2 positive effects. So you actually, in some instances, prefer her to not have any charges, and of course not to do the additional damage, because the additional damage for me doesn't really do much. Her pretty much basically the kit for the most part for me is really beneficial when she's able to flip those 2 positive effects. I have Striker on her, a Striker ISO on her, so being able to get that double tap actually is really cool, and it works really well with her special ability. She's then going to clear negative effects off of your team. Once again, she doesn't need to have high red stars in order to be able to do that. And then she's going to apply those, she's going to apply slow to the enemy team. Special or ultimate ability, she clears all positive effects. Once T4, she clears all positive effects, and then she applies blind to the primary target. And then she'll also mind control 2 characters. So either, mind controlling an ally or mind controlling a enemy character to attack the character that she, targeted to put that blind onto. So, and then of course her passive ability, also as well, she heals herself, she applies, she slows down speed bar, she also gains a little bit of armor and a little bit of resistance too as well. She gains immunity, with her other abilities. So really, whatever she does, she doesn't need to have high red stars or high stars in order for her to be effective in doing what she's actually doing. And then on top of that, she also has low cooldowns. Low cooldowns are really big because she only needs 3 ability energy to do her special ability. So she's in Rage, she's going to be able to do it multiple times. She only needs 4 in order to be able to do this. So she's going to also be able to do that potentially in multiple turns in raids. Also, she's also, the reason why she's number 1 for me is because she's also good everywhere. Symbiote Spider-Man is one area that he's lacking in is in arena, and in other game modes like maybe War 2 as well, because he's still good in war, but the point is that he, like that 100% drain, the heals, things like that, don't translate into every other game mode. You know, as to where Emma, she translates into every other game mode. Yes, she does get additional abilities in war, but her abilities translate into every single game mode. So she's still good in arena. She's still good in raids. She's good in war. She's good everywhere. She's good in dark dimensions. So because of that reason, for me, she does go up a little bit higher on this list just because of her ability and her prowess really to go into other game modes too and to still be good there. But this is pretty much the end of the list for me, guys. I do have some honorable mentions that I didn't throw on this list. Loki was an honorable mention that I would have thrown on this list too as well. You know, he's really good on his team. He does a lot, you know, with the stealths, with, you know, the defense down, the mind control, things like that. Mordo is also another character that I thought about mentioning. It's also still good, really good utility in terms of his kit. You know, applies a lot of debuffs, stuns, blinds, you know, slows, things like that, that really actually help out the team. Mystique is also another really good character that does a lot of really good utility things for her team, the Marauders, as well as the Brotherhood 1.0 team. Vision is also good mention, you know, really good kit-based character as well. Doesn't need a lot of high stars in order to be able to do what he does. And of course, Miles. Miles is a kind of an unsung hero. He actually has gotten a little bit better, you know, being a part of the Young Avengers team, that basic being able to clear 3 positive effects, the slows with his special, and then also the disrupts too as well. And then he also does apply defense down with his passive ability. So Miles in a lot of ways too does have a sneaky, really good kit, you know, that I think, you know, should not be overlooked. If you get him early in the game, you should definitely invest into him just a little bit to be able to get you through some of the early game content if you can. All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching this video. Curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. This was a fun video for me just to be able to talk about things like this. So we would love to hear what your thoughts are, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be blessed and be safe.